Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this video finds you, I hope you're having a rad time. I'm the Figure Dude, and on today's Work in Progress Wednesday, we're going to be making TM61 from their time in NXT. Without further ado, let's talk about some figures. Dude. Welcome back. Like I said, today I'm making TM61. I am making Shane Thorne and Nick Miller. I had to think about those names. I always forget their names, and I mess up their name between NXT and New Japan. So we have Nick Miller and Shane Thorne here, and we're going to be making them in their NXT attire. So we've got blue tights on this side, orange tights on this side. These are Cowboy Bob Orton legs. These are from a Jerry Briscoe, I'm pretty sure. And then the formulas, like, just their look is just different. So there's a few different times they wore the blue and the orange. So over here, what we're gonna have a big white armband, and then I think he wore another one on this side, just like a plain black one. And then the calves, he wore like sleeves underneath his knee pads. So I'm going to get rid of the design on the socks down here with their Sami Zayn calves. And then I'm going to swap some white boots onto him. And I'm going to be taking these from this Brian Pillman here. Not going to need those. And then on this side, we've got the torso from a Sheamus, I'm pretty sure. And then I'm pretty sure it was Shane. I think he tore his ACL at some point. And when he came back, he wore, normally he'd wear the short knee pads, but then he wore like a wrap. So I had this white knee pad here, but there's almost no mobility with that. So I'm going to be taking a piece of elastic and then cutting it about this size and sewing it so that it fits in there, but that should give plenty of space. Like, this is you get almost that full range of motion there. So I'm going to do the same thing for the knee pad over here. And then we just have a bunch of decals. So we've got a bunch of tattoos for Shane Thorne. Obviously, we got to paint the head sculpts. But pretty basic formulas, simple formulas. I think these are going to look awesome. I'm really excited. I've wanted to make these for a while. Just needed to get all the parts in and get them pieced together. And we've done that. So let's get to it. All right, time for the time lapse, which is short, but I feel like I put a lot of time and effort into these. Nonetheless, for the knee pads here, I'm going to paint the front of it white, and for the Nick Miller, I think that was his WWE name, and then I'm just going to touch up the corners with an ink pen to give it the look that it needs. And then for the socks, what I actually decided to do was just use white tape and then draw the lines instead of painting it, just to see how it went, and I actually was pretty happy with how that turned out. So the only other thing to put on was the decal design, and I did realize I forgot their like side decal is kind of like a lightning bolt. So I'll go back, I'll add that eventually. I don't know if I missed it or it wasn't just wasn't in the package, but I'll fix it nonetheless. And then for the Shane Thorne, I'm going to paint his kick pads white, and I went back and forth on how I was going to do his knee pads, and I decided, because he wore tape under like a big black brace, so I'm going to just use a white knee joint, and then I'm going to use tape and Mod Podge to give him that taped look around it. Obviously I'm painting the knee pad white, and you can see there, it was really hard for me to get on screen. You'll see it better at the end. I'll kind of point it out there, but that came out awesome. I was so happy with it. And then he's got some tattoos, which he doesn't have as many tattoos as he does when I am going to do the TMDK version, the more modern look. This isn't that long ago, but the more recent look of him has a bit more tattoos, but not this one. These are pretty simple. They're clear. Those are always pretty easy to put on, and then we're done. All right, time for the wrap up here, and truthfully, I love everything about these. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, and like I said, I did forget the little lightning bolt on the right side of their trunks, and I'll go back. I can add that. It's a small detail. I'm so happy with these though, and the only real issue I had was that when I sealed them, the sealer that I used, they had a, like, there, it was called cracking. I had to look it up. I didn't know why it happened, but it just had a bunch of little cracks all over the head sculpt. Not like in the resin itself, but just the paint layer. And apparently if the layers, if one layer dries and the other one is still not dried enough, or they were vastly different temperatures, you can have that cracking. So that was a bummer, and I could throw them into some what am I thinking of? The stuff that you rinse your resin sculpts with. I could throw that in there, wash them off, repaint them, but I don't think I really want to do that. It sounds like a pretty heavy task. So that's the only issue I really had, and you can see it when you get up close, but on the shelf, not a huge deal. When I have some free head sculpts available, or there's a discount code from Headeration, maybe I'll go ahead and get some new head sculpts for these. But back to what I was saying, I'm so happy with these. The socks on Nick, I was really happy with the lines, just drawing the line on the tape there. And then the tape and knee pad combo for Shane Thorne. I've done this a few times now where I've used the tape for different means other than just wrist tape. And doing that and then doing the Mod Podge over it, I thought was a game changer. I think it looks so good. I think it looks much more realistic, like it kind of like sculpted tape. And the Mod Podge, I feel like adds to that. It makes it look really good. And then besides the cracking, I was really, really excited about how the head sculpts turned out. I thought they looked really good. I was really happy with how my painting came out on them. The cracking kind of ruined the finished product, but ultimately I was still happy with it, and that's a technical error I'll know for another time. I'll make sure that doesn't happen again. But that is going to be everything for today's Work in Progress Wednesday. So if you did stick around to the end here, I appreciate it. If you want to see more Work in Progress Wednesdays, unboxings, or action figure showcases, please consider subscribing. I would appreciate it very much. And remember, you can't buy happiness, but you can buy more action figures. Figure Dude out.